thinking about moving to Dallas, Texas, and you have a lot of questions before you move out here, that's okay, because I'm gonna tackle the top 10 questions people ask before they move out here, such as what are the biggest challenges of living here? What's the housing market like? What are the best neighborhoods? I even compare Dallas from San Antonio, Houston, and Texas, so that will definitely help you. And if you stick to the very end, I'm gonna share a bonus tip that as homeowners, you can save money on paying less property taxes. So let's get right to it. The very first question is, what is there to do in Dallas? And there are, believe it or not, quite a bit of things to do here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And one of the big things about Dallas is that we have all the sports teams. We have Dallas Mavericks, the Cowboys, we have Texas Rangers, FC Dallas, we also have Dallas Stars. And so there's all these different sports, and there's also an NBA G League team called Texas Legends. The reason why I mentioned Texas Legends is because I go there with my family. My kid loves going there. They have face painting, they have like balloons, they have bounce house, they have a lot of things to do for kids. And the cool thing is I actually did a 3-point contest during one of the timeouts in Texas Legends basketball game, which I'm going to show you pretty soon. But I was able to have this opportunity to shoot a 3-point shot during timeout, and if I make the shot, I win $400. But if I don't, I go home with nothing, right? But at least I had the opportunity. So I'm going to show you this video. Do you think I want to make this or not? Well, let's go take a look. That was like the highlight of my life here in Dallas. I won $400 by a 3-point contest. Now you know why I'm a huge fan of Texas Legends, and that's why I promote the team. As anywhere I go, I talk about Texas Legends, and I apologize for that clip. I know it was a bit shaky. My wife was taking it. She got really excited, not because I made the shot, but because she gets $400, right? And so anyways, my kid was happy, and we had like front row seats as well to be able to watch the rest of the game. So there's a lot of things to do sports wise. We got all the teams here. Whenever you want to go watch a game, you can go watch a game. There are a lot of events that come here to Dallas. For example, not too long ago, my daughter wanted to go watch Disney on Ice, so we went for that. And then we also went to an amusement park that they just opened up, Peppa Pig. And so that's perfect for like 3, 4, 5, maybe up to like 6 years old. And then they're also creating a Universal Studios for kids. And so a lot of things are building up here. If you want to go watch sports, you can go to Arlington, Dallas Cowboys, Texas Rangers. They also have Six Flags Magic Mountain there. If you want to go FC Dallas, you just go to Frisco. And so there are just so many things to do in Dallas. If you want to go to Fort Worth, you can go there. You can go to a lot of other cities that have a lot of things to do, such as Legacy West in Plano. You have Stonebriar Mall. You have some outlets in Grapevine, also in Allen. You got Kalahari Resorts coming in McKinney. So all these places to visit here in Dallas, and it just doesn't get boring. There's a lot of things going on year round, like you have the state fair here in Texas. So it is a lot of fun, and so you'll be pretty busy like on the weekends. You're gonna go to a lot of places with all these events going on. You won't get tired of going to all these, but you won't be bored of going to all these places because there are a lot of things to do here in Dallas. The next question is, what's the housing market like in Dallas? And I get this asked so many times. I get this asked from people who want to move to Dallas. I get this asked from people who want to buy a house, first-time home buyers who are renting. And then I also get this question asked by homeowners who want to eventually sell their house. So they ask me all the time, what's the housing market like in Dallas? Well, right now, today, we are basically in a very steady housing market here in Dallas. Now, COVID, we saw this huge spike of house prices going up by like at least $100,000 for each house. Just went up a lot, $100,000, $200,000 or so. And then ever since then, we kind of saw a little dip, and then it's just been a bit steady for the past year. This is why it's very important that when you buy or sell a house, you know what the housing market is like. And that's with my experience. I know how the housing market is like. I'm able to show people homes all the time, and because I show people homes all the time, I know whether the housing market has just picked up or it's been a bit slow, how much we can negotiate. So that's what I'm here to do. And if you want to move to Dallas, feel free to call, text, email us, whatever you prefer, and we're happy to help you move to Dallas, Texas. So the Dallas market has been very steady the past few years or so. Right now, we are able to negotiate housing prices a bit. Like I said, it does get better, it does get worse. Right now we are seeing an increase just a little bit, but we are still in a buyer's market. The next question is, what is the weather like in Dallas? And the weather here just fluctuates a lot. During the winter, we have like just really cold weather. We have a lot of snowstorms, which I don't like. And during the snowstorms, what happened is it's hard for families because when everything is closed, you're like locked in your homes for like a day or two. You can't go out, you're stressed out, and on top of that, schools are closed, businesses are closed, and what that means is you got to take care of your kiddo at home. You can't go to work, which can be a good thing, right? But then if you work from home, that's not a great thing because you're working from home and then you have to take care of your kiddo, which is of course a difficult life. So snowstorms are very difficult. And then we have the spring, which then is really good, but then also that is a time where people who are allergic, have more allergies to like pollen, things of that sort, can start coughing or sneezing, runny nose. And during the spring, we do have some tornadoes or thunderstorms, so just be careful and cautious of that before moving out here. During the summer, really hot. It is like, now the good thing about Dallas is we're dry, we're not really humid, so when it goes to like above 100 degrees, it's still like bearable, which for me it's a really tough life because I come from LA. I come from a really nice weather right next to the beach and really cool and always breezy in the 70s. And so for me to bear several months, like 4 or 5 months of this like hot weather is not easy. But here's the thing, if I can do it, then you can do it too. I am a spoiled beach guy. Now, I just always had to be in the 70s. And if you're from LA and you come out here, if you're from near the beach, wherever it is, perfect weather, you come out here. If I can endure this weather, so can you. And for me, even though it's hot, even though it's cold, hey, I love Dallas because there are so many more pros than cons, which I'll talk about shortly. So anyways, that's the summer. And then we have the fall, which is an amazing weather, just beautiful weather out here in Dallas. So we have all 4 seasons. And if that's what you like, then Dallas is a great city for you. If you're coming from, for example, like New York or Chicago, when the winter and the summer are just extreme, then for you here in Dallas, winter is going to be nothing for you in comparison to like cities like Chicago. So I had like people who came from Chicago and they're like, in the winter here, they're like wearing shorts. I'm like, my goodness, like, man, I can't go out there in shorts. I gotta wear my jeans. I gotta be well clothed, well suited up for this winter. And they're like in short sleeves and shorts, and they're just like, so that's for some people who can endure this, not a big deal. The next question is, what are the biggest challenges of living in Dallas? And I think this is a very, very important question because for people who move out here, they live here and they're like, oh my goodness, I just can't stand Dallas. And they're like, I want to go back. And I've seen that definitely does happen. But for the most part, I have seen people who move out here and they're like, man, I love Dallas. It's such a great city. It's such a beautiful city, and they just love it. And that was me. That's me right there. I love Dallas. But there are some challenges that I want to share with you. The main challenge that I have is the weather. And that's just because I am a SoCal guy. I am a beach guy. Like I said, I am like a perfect weather every single day, or maybe not every single day, but about like 11 months out of the 12 months. I live in perfect weather. I used to live in perfect weather. So this to me was the biggest challenge. And so I just want to let you know of that, to be able to live through like tornadoes or thunderstorms or hail. I'm just like, my goodness, like I have to look at my weather app all the time to make sure everything is okay. So that is definitely a big challenge for me. Another challenge that we have here is property tax. Property taxes are pretty high here in comparison to other states. We're above the national average, but that's not saying that like number wise we're not too high in terms of dollar amount, not too high in comparison to those major states, just because house prices here are a lot cheaper. But percentage wise, yes, we are higher. So it does kind of like, homeowners don't like that, of course. We always complain about it. Unfortunately, it is what it is. Hopefully we can see a change in that, but that definitely is another challenge that we have here in Dallas. And another challenge is that obviously it is very limited public transportation. So let's say, for example, you're coming from Chicago and you would ride the train all the time, or maybe like New York, the bus all the time, and it's just so convenient. Here really we just don't have that. So you're going to be doing a lot of driving because the land here is so big. Texas is humongous, and that's one of the reasons why house prices are cheap, because we have so much land, even though all these people are moving from out of state. So we do have a lot of traffic going on though, just because everyone's wanting to go that same freeway, for example, like the 35, 635, 75. So you have a lot of traffic congestion. Now people think, oh, Dallas, okay, or at least back then they thought, oh, there wouldn't be much traffic just because there's so much land and not a lot of people live in Dallas. But because there have been a lot of people that moved out here, we are pretty trafficy. Just to let you know, during rush hour, some freeways are trafficy just like throughout the whole day. But of course, it's not as bad as like certain like downtown cities, right? The major cities like downtown LA, it's just nonstop crazy over there. The 405 and just everywhere there. And so that's kind of what we have, like limited walkability here. And we also have quite a bit of traffic, just to let you know. The next question is, what are the best neighborhoods here in Dallas? Now, I'm not allowed to steer in any way. I just give basically information that I get from niche.com or greatschools.org, and I see, okay, these are like the great schools, these are the great cities that people really like to live in. I personally, when I lived in the city of Dallas, I lived in Uptown, and I used to really like it there because it was right next to downtown Dallas. So whenever I wanted to go, I can drive there. But there was a lot of traffic moving in and out whenever I wanted to go back to my apartment. That's when I was living in Uptown. I was living in an apartment. I would go visit to like Deep Ellum. I would go to Bishop Arts District. I would hang out there all the time. So many things to do in downtown. But let's say, for example, in terms of like the suburbs, if you don't want to live in the city of Dallas because it's expensive, then you can definitely live in the suburbs. And again, I'm getting all this information from niche.com or greatschools.org. And so a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll go to cities like, or suburbs such as like Frisco, Plano, McKinney, Allen, Capel, Southlake, Grapevine, Flower Mound, Louisville. All these suburbs are just great areas. And for example, like for me, when I help people who want to move from out of state to Dallas, they call me and they say, Daniel, can you help me find like this kind of neighborhood that I'm looking for, and I want to be around this area just because of work. And so they ask me like, okay, how's the commute time? And that's why they call me. And if you want that kind of information, feel free to call, text, email us, whatever you prefer, and we're happy to help you move to Dallas, Texas. And so those are some great suburbs that I definitely think a lot of people really like, because that's kind of what those websites recommend. The next question is Dallas a good place to live? And my question is a straight answer, and that is yes. Now, it's not because I live here. I'm being real. I'm being honest and truthful. I love Dallas. Not because like of the weather. I don't love Dallas because of the weather. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes actually, little by little, I am appreciating the 4 seasons, because when spring comes, when fall comes, I'm more grateful, more thankful for those great days of that season. But I love Dallas. And the reason I love Dallas is because of the low cost of living. This is the number one reason why I love Dallas. It's because if I were to live in LA, I'd be like constantly renting because I probably can't afford over $1 million property. That's not within my budget. So I'd just rather rent. But here in Dallas, my family and I can own a house. We are homeowners, and that's what makes things very, very peaceful for us in our hearts, because we know, hey, we don't have to keep renting. We don't have to waste money and give it to the landlord. Instead, we own a home, and Who knows how long we'll live here? We can live here for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Who knows? But at least we are at peace that when rent prices keep going up from like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, who knows how much it goes up? At least for me, I know that, okay, I can provide for my family a place to live. And that's what makes this city, Dallas, such an amazing city because of this. On top of this, there's other great reasons, such as there's no state income tax. And this is what I love. When I was living in California, when I was paying taxes, a lot more because there was state income tax in California. But in Texas, there is no state income tax. And this is what I love. People here in Texas are very friendly. I came out here and I'm like, man, why are people so nice here? Because I'm kind of used to Californians and, you know, we just kind of live our lives in California, but people here are really kind of care for each other. For example, my neighbor, months ago, when leaves were falling from our trees and it was time for us to kind of rake our leaves and kind of clean it up and, you know, put it in the front for it to be thrown out. Now, when I was like busy with taking care of my kiddo and life just gets to you, right? And so I didn't have time to like rake the leaves in our yard. And my neighbor, I saw him like through my window raking our leaves while he was doing his own. And I'm like, man, how nice of him, right? He's very caring, very generous. Not just him, but my other neighbors were always like talking to each other and always checking up on each other, see how we're doing. And so a lot of people are not everyone, but a lot of people here in Dallas are friendly. And so that is another reason why I really love Dallas. Now, there are definitely cons, for example, property tax, which again, I'm going to give you a bonus tip on how to save a little bit on property tax so you don't have to pay as much. So make sure to keep watching. Now, when it comes to property taxes, that is definitely a con because it's not cheap. It's going to cost you money. And so when we do have that kind of property tax time to pay, it doesn't feel good. And again, like I said, the weather is definitely a con for me. It can be a pro for you, actually. For some people, it can be a good thing because it may not be as cold as the city that you're moving from, or it's not as hot. So that is a con for me, but could be a pro for you. So basically, at the end of the day, for me, I would choose a city to live in based on my pros and cons. And when my pros outweigh my cons, that's the city that I want to go to. And for me, the pros are so much higher, so much greater than the cons. And that's why I love and I really respect and admire this city of Dallas. The next question is Dallas a safe city? And the answer is yes. Overall, generally speaking, our crime rate is better than like the national average throughout America. Now, of course, just like any city, we definitely have crime. Any city, major city is going to have a lot of higher crime rates. So, for example, the city of Dallas may have higher crime rates, statistically speaking, in comparison to other suburbs. So suburbs are going to be a safer bet if that is your concern. Again, I'm not steering you in any way, but on those websites, you can see like those crime websites, it will show that these suburbs are much safer than the city of Dallas. But the city of Dallas in itself is a lot safer than other major cities. And my suggestion and my advice is that you do your own research, do your own due diligence to make sure Dallas is a good city for you to live. It's a safe city for you to live so that you don't move out here and then you regret it later down the line. The next question is, how bad is the traffic here in Dallas? Now, during rush hour, we can be like jam-packed. Like I said, the 635, 35, 75 freeways, those freeways are going to be just, oh man, you don't want to be driving. And to be honest here, the roads are not built the best. And so there's a lot of accidents that happen. So you just got to be very careful. There's a lot of like exits that are like just kind of weird. You're kind of like, oh, what happened here? And so that's what causes a lot of accidents. And when that happens, that's going to cause a lot of traffic as well. So unfortunately, we have traffic during rush hour. But the good thing is that there are like tolls out here, which of course is going to cost you money, but tolls are going to save you some time. And if you don't want to take the toll, then you can take the service road, which is basically the road next to the toll, but you can drive pretty fast, or faster than other local streets. So that's kind of the good thing about these service roads. So yes, it's not the best out here. We're gonna have traffic, so just for you to know about this. The next question is, what are the schools like in Texas? Now, I can boast and brag about the schools, the high schools in Texas, because my goodness, we are like elite schools. We are like the top schools according to niche.com, greatschools.org. Take a look and you will see that Texas is amazing. Dallas is an amazing city in terms of the rankings, the top rankings. Now, when we talk about like the top 100 schools, the 100 top high schools here in America, out of the 100, 10 of these schools are ranked from the state of Texas. 10 out of 100, we have that top high schools in Texas. And out of those 10, believe it or not, 5 of them come from the city or this DFW, the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We have the top 5 schools out of 100 public high schools. Now you're thinking, well, that's not that many. Actually, it is. Let me tell you why. Because when we're talking about 50 states in America and you get into the top 100, we're talking about the top 2 best public high schools in each state. In each state, we're talking about that. And for the whole state of Texas, and then being 10 for that, and then just the Dallas area, we have 5 schools in the top 100. Shows how amazing these public schools are. And that's actually one of the reasons why people want to move out here. They get relocated because of work, and that's just how it is. So they have to move out here, but then also people want to come here, move here because of school. So when it comes with schools, public high schools in Dallas, man, we are awesome. And the last question is, how does Dallas compare to the other cities, the major cities here in Texas? Now, remember, I got a bonus tip for you as well. So make sure to watch that after we tackle this question. And Dallas, for me, I love Dallas compared to any of these other cities. That's why I'm living here. If I loved Austin, man, we would have moved to Austin. If I loved Houston, we would have gone to Houston. If I loved San Antonio, we would have gone to San Antonio. I went to each city so many times that I'm just like, man, it is hands down Dallas. I'm not being biased because I live here. No, I chose Dallas because it's the best of these cities. That's why I'm living here. And so what makes Dallas a great city is that, like, in comparison to Austin, there are a lot of people moving to Austin, a lot of tech companies. Now, you probably heard, oh, Austin is one of the fastest growing major cities in America. And the reason is because their population isn't as big as they used to be. And that's why when we talk about, like, if they doubled their population, then we're talking a 200% increase. That's why percentage wise they're big, but in terms of population, man, Dallas, we are amazing. Also, a lot more things to do in Dallas. We got all the professional teams here in Dallas, whereas Austin, what do they have? They have, I don't know what they have. But anyways, and then Houston, okay, they got professional sports teams, but they also have cheated. For example, Houston Astros, right? They've cheated, and at the end of the day, they are humid. I would rather live in a dry city than a humid city. Houston is closer to the beach, I'll give them that, but they are humid, and I don't want to live in a city that's like humid. We're all like sweating all the time. Yes, we are humid at times here in Dallas, but nothing in comparison to Houston. So Dallas for me is better. And then also San Antonio. San Antonio is like, really, there's not much to do there. And it's like, okay, you got SeaWorld there, you got other things there, but really Dallas is where it's at. A lot of people, I think the future, the present and the future in Dallas is looking so great. This is why I love Dallas for me and for my family. So let me share with you the bonus tip. And this bonus tip has to do with how to save money on property taxes. Now, as soon as you close on your property, if you're an investor, you can't do this one. But if you are a primary resident of that property, you're going to live in that house. Then as soon as you close, you change your driver's license, you update it to your new address that you moved into, and then you apply for homestead exemption. I always remind my clients about this, like during closing, and then not just during closing, after closing, I follow up on all my clients to make sure that they have applied for homestead exemption. Why is this important? Because homestead exemption is going to definitely bring your cost down in terms of property tax. And then there's also other exemptions, like if you're a senior, then you can apply for that. So you just go to the county website and you take a look at what kind of exemptions that you can apply for, and there's at least one for all homeowners, and that is homestead exemption. So that's going to definitely save you a lot of money on property taxes. So there you go, the top 10 questions answered. So now you know whether you should move to Dallas or not. And if you do want to, feel free to call, text, email us, whatever you prefer. We're happy to help you move to Dallas, Texas. If you like this video, make sure to click that like button. If you haven't done so, make sure to subscribe below. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.